if we can just understand how we can support that person, with it. Yes, there's, a billion different things that people would have that's probably more worse and more important to them with the dyslexia. But if you see, they say 1 in 10, but really it's kind of 1 in 5. I mean, that's a huge number of people.
It is.
And the potential for people with dyslexia is huge. It's just a different way of learning. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I like that. The potential is huge, because I think if nothing done, and if families can't afford to identify, support, that's when you've really got a big problem. It can lead to a whole bunch of challenging situations where say a middle class family or who can afford to get the help, and that's when someone, I think, can really fly. And I think if you look at the successful people with dyslexia, often that they have been identified early or just toughed it out.
Yes, I think that's it. And I think it's I speak to a lot of parents as well, and it's the initial shock if if the teacher says your child may be dyslexic or is dyslexic. It's almost like they've got this shock, as if to say like, oh my goodness, it's I'm terrible, and they become this really worried, defensive person. And I get it, I understand. It's a shock, but if we can educate and support in a certain way to not make it like you've just condemned someone because they've said they've got dyslexia.
Exactly. So can I ask you then, what is at work, what is your main challenge associated with your dyslexia?
As in the thing that I struggle with?
Yeah, what really is difficult for you?
I'd say just concentration and organization. I could just read them off. It's concentration. The thing that gets me is when working to a kind of a timeline, or I can't tell, like when I get stressed or tired, the letters start moving around for me, and sometimes my dyslexia is worse than others if I, quite stressed. And a lot of the time I work to quite tight deadlines, and that I put myself under, which is really really tough. And for that, when we come back to the communication and the people side of it, I lean on my partner more than ever, because it's even answering emails back or writing text or social media and stuff, it's everything's proof checked. Everything is, like the daily vlogs that I do, Jay. What I do is I record the video, and then my partner then writes the blurb that goes with it every time. So it's you think every social media post that goes out has to be checked or written.
It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So it's kind of double touching all the time. And I don't think people realize how much work goes into writing an email or doing a social media post and stuff. And I used to get, when I first went into business very, very early on, I got contacted by endless amounts of people inboxing me and messaging me saying, oh, it was a lovely post, but did you realize that you spelled this wrong or that wrong or this wrong? And it really got to me. I mean, I really did. And I remember speaking to my partner and thinking, I said, look, I feel like I'm bringing the company into disrepute. I don't think people are going to use our services. And at the time, I was thinking they think it's not professional. And she said, no, we are. We just need to work on it. And that's when I was...
I can so relate to that. And really, I like to think that people can look past it, but actually what they do, I think, is they go, well, hang on, if you can't even spell that right, maybe Jay's not as smart as we kind of thought he was. Or maybe that's just my fear. And I love Richard Branson's, he's got a quote, something along the lines of, it's what we say, not how we write it or something. But, and that's of course true, but I do think people, well, hang on a minute, couldn't even spell that. So.
Absolutely. And it's still, it still baffles me now. I kind of created this profile of that, I've got dyslexia, dyslexia group, I do dyslexia work, I'm an ambassador and all these different things. And I still get inboxes from people saying that I've spelled something wrong. And I'm just, thanks very much. But it's
I don't mean it. Don't tell me. I don't know. It's like, get over it. Really?
Just move on.
So Darren, can you tell us about your diagnosis and that little journey? You said it was late in life. What happened?
Yes, it was. So this is the thing. I mean, all throughout my corporate career, you know, I went from just pushing trolleys 12 hours a week to managing, you know, a large, massive operation within the retail sector. And all that time, I didn't know I had dyslexia. I just knew that I found so many things difficult. And I think it was the first couple of years into business, and I was at home and I was doing some work, and I was listening to a report, so kind of like a news report in the afternoon. And it was an interview, and they were interviewing this lady called Claire. I always remember this. And she said, why did you set up the floristry? And she said, I set up the floristry because I'm dyslexic and I see everything in pictures, and I can organize. I can't really spell what the flowers are, but I can tell you what the bunch is. And she was just going on, and she kept saying the word dyslexic. And it's like one of those pivotal moments when you knew you had to be there and you listened to this and stuff. And then I thought, you know, dyslexia. And then she started saying, can you tell me a little bit more about dyslexia? What's your symptoms? She started telling, you know, symptoms, saying, you know, what does she struggle with? And then I was thinking, I get it. That's what I do. So once I found out how to spell dyslexia, I Googled it, and then and then literally went I did like an online test, which you can do, and it came out severely dyslexic. And then I went. I thought, well, actually, I want to, you know, I looked more into it, and I thought I'm going to go into one of the places in Bristol in England and get tested, and I think I paid £100 and something, and came back out, and it said it was, you know, quite severely dyslexic, and then kind of traits of ADHD and, you know, these kind of things as well. And it was do you know what, it was a kind of this moment where it just, people say, once you found out, were you kind of devastated? Because I know a few people that were diagnosed and then they kind of, it destroyed them for a while. They were really kind of down. But for me, it was, I don't know if it was like oh, I get it. Yeah, that's why. And then I moved on. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it was something that, because I used to beat myself, like some of the promotions that I went to within my job with that I didn't get. Sometimes when my brain was completely fried and I couldn't even speak. You know, I used to be literally, because you know, they say your brain doesn't know whether it's real. When you remember back, they don't know whether it's real or not. So I was literally just, I beat myself up about those things. And once I found out, you know, diagnosis was there, I kind of sort of give myself a bit of a break on that.
It's a reason, and I don't know if you find this, but I just find it so easy to talk to other dyslexic people. I really do. And to relate to what people are going through. The ADHD, you mentioned ADHD, and I think it's 44% of dyslexics also have ADHD, or there are 3 types, you know, at least one of those types, myself included. And actually my journey was a common one as well, but different from yours, which was basically often, you know, sort of, oh yeah, probably dyslexic, a little bit dyslexic.
Yeah.
But never anything done. Although in year 6, I actually had a cognitive assessment at school. And that should have picked up and put a whole bunch of action in place. It didn't. Mum went off and learnt about it all and helped me and supported me and continues to do so. The school didn't do much. I was diagnosed at 44 because I was advocating for people to be honest about their challenges at work, for example, in my work. And so I thought, I better go and find out. And then I thought, I hope I am.
You come back going, no, you're not.
And, yeah, right. No, you know. And then really my learning was the ADHD, which is, for me, they used to call it ADD, and it's just attention issues. And 2 conditions overlap quite significantly. But I think learning about ADHD, I learned a lot about myself. And I think those dyslexics who also have that, I think it's important to learn about ADHD a little as well.
Absolutely. And I learned more when I became an ambassador for the BDA, so the British Dyslexia Association. I went on quite a lot of their courses and was helping out and stuff. And there was a lady there and she was talking about dyspraxia, dyslexia, ADHD. And it was just really fascinating because they kind of, when they said it, you know, you've got dyslexia and they said ADHD, you know, ADHD in this, it was in my head, it was just, oh, you've got dyslexia. Then it was more the focus around dyslexia. And it wasn't until I kind of went to, you know, a couple of years ago, went to these sort of seminars, the concentration, the noise and the you know, the fidgeting and concentration stuff. It was just absolutely fascinating. It was almost like she was just reading, like, this is Darren Clark's symptoms. We're just gonna